Let's get the read on things from Wyoming Senator, Chairman-elect of the Republican Conference, John Barrasso. He's a big cheese among his Grand Old Party pals. Very good to have you, Senator. Merry Christmas.
And to you, thanks so much for having me, Neil.
Now, what's going to happen? Are you going to be working Christmas there to avoid a shutdown, or what?
Well, my goal is to avoid a shutdown. We need to be working until we get this completed. You know, the issue is border security. To me, border security is national security. So I'm hoping that we can continue to work to get to a solution that keeps our government open and our borders secure.
What did you think of the president all but saying, darn right, I'll force a shutdown if that's what it takes to get this $5 billion border funding?
Well, if you don't have border security, you don't have national security. That's the number that the Border Patrol has said is necessary. It's what we need to fully fund the Department of Homeland Security. I agree we need to make sure they are fully funded, and we need to keep our country safe and strong and free. And the way to do that is to have the border security that the president has asked for. So I'm going to continue to push for that.
All right, but the president is linking it to, this budget impasse here, and that if it leads to a shutdown, so be it. It's that important to him. Do you agree that it's an important enough issue to you, Senator, that push comes to shove, yeah, you'd shut the government down to get it?
Well, you know, Neil, we've already funded 75% of the budget going forward because we passed a number of individual appropriation bills. So you're talking about a smaller amount, but the Department of Homeland Security is part of that. And I think that's why it's critical, and that's why the discussions are going to continue. We have till December 21st, and I would hope that as we get closer to Christmas and members realize they need to get home, they need to make sure they keep the border secure before they go home for the holidays.
All right, well, maybe it's the doctor in you or the gentleman in you, but you are not challenging the president directly on that threat. You don't strike me as someone who makes threats, but he did, and he is very determined to get that funding. I understand that, but is it worth shutting down the government to get it?
Well, I never think a government shutdown is a good idea, but we have a president whose leadership is action-based and results-based and based on strength. So I don't put anything past his abilities to get this done, to get the funding completed, and to keep the government open.
All right, that's your genteel way of saying I'm not going to get in the mud with this. All right, but let me ask you, Senator, there are a lot of other issues that still have to be taken care of to avoid a shutdown and how we pay for that and what have you, but when I look at the budget, I'm amazed by the number of subsidies or special tax breaks that are given to companies and individuals and whole industries that mightily depend on them. GM is the latest right now. It wants to retain subsidies for electric cars, and you have a big issue with that, right?
Well, you're right, Neil. People love subsidies. Corporations keep asking for them. I am opposed to a continuation of this subsidy for electric vehicles. It's up to $7,500 a vehicle, and these are luxury vehicles of values over $100,000, and I don't think hardworking taxpayers ought to be paying that kind of money in their taxes to go for subsidies for luxury vehicles. This has been in place for about a dozen years. It was put in place to try to get an established electric vehicle market. It is established. It is there. It's time for the subsidies to go away. And look, our number one car at home is a General Motors vehicle. We love it, but that doesn't mean that they should be getting subsidies, or anyone should be getting subsidies for the electric vehicles. I have legislation to eliminate it completely.
Real quickly, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Michael Cohen, the president's former personal lawyer, getting sentenced to 3 years in prison. You think the president should be worried?
Well, I don't know. I try to focus on things where it can actually have an impact, which is focusing on legislation impacting our jobs, our economy, our national security in my home state of Wyoming. That's where I'm going to continue to keep my focus, Neil.
All right. So if the stuff that's sending Mr. Cohen to prison involves paying off women who had alleged affairs with the president, and the president might have misrepresented that or lied about that, would that worry you?
Well, there's an investigation going on. I'm still waiting for the results of that investigation, the Mueller investigation. We need to get that to conclusion. It's been 81 weeks and counting. The people that I hear about from home on this is that, like, let's get it over, let's get it behind us, see what they have, what they found, let the American people see it, get the transparency, and then move on as a nation.
All right, Senator, thank you again. Very good seeing you. Have a Merry Christmas.
Thanks. You too. Thanks for having me, Neil.
All right.